Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It is with great pleasure that we welcome you to the Naval Air Warfare Center Training Systems Division and Naval Support Activity Orlando Change of Command, in which Captain Tim James will transfer command to Captain Rob Betts. For those witnessing a ceremony like this for the first time, we should point out that this ceremony is also a naval tradition which recognizes a person who has dedicated him or herself to more than just an organization. It recognizes their personal dedication to a way of life. Today, we honor a man who chose such a life as we celebrate Captain Tim James's 30 years of dedicated and honorable service. We welcome each of you and thank you for being a part of today's ceremony. Guests are asked to rise for the arrival of the official party and remain standing through the national anthem and invocation. Captain, United States Navy, arriving. Naval Air Warfare Center Training Systems Division and Naval Support Activity Orlando, arriving. Naval Air Warfare Center Aircraft Division, arriving. Direct Reporting Program Manager for Maritime Industrial Base, arriving. Our nation's colors will be paraded this morning by Navy Reserve Center Orlando. Our national anthem will be performed by Miss Lily Stevenson. Color Guard, parade the colors.
And salute. March time. March. Right. Peace. Freeze and march.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Color guard, retire the colors.
3, 2, right, face. Forward, march. Ready, jump.
Deacon Terry Bellon will now deliver the invocation.
Heavenly Father, source of all wisdom and strength, we gather before you today as a community united in service to our nation. We thank you for the gift of leadership and for the men and women who dedicate themselves to the cause of peace and security. Today we especially give thanks for Captain Tim James, who for 30 years has faithfully served the United States Navy and our country. We are grateful for his steadfast commitment, his courage, and the sacrifices he and his family have made in the name of duty. May his example of integrity and devotion inspire all who follow in his footsteps. As we witness this change of command, we ask your blessing upon Captain Rob Betts as he assumes new responsibilities. Grant him wisdom, patience, and strength. Guide his decisions and sustain him in moments of challenge. May he lead with humility and a spirit of service, always mindful of the trust placed in him. Bless all gathered here and all who serve our nation at sea, in the air, and on land. May your grace be upon this command, now and always. We ask this through Christ our Lord. Amen.
Bosun, post the sideways. Guests, please be seated. Ladies and gentlemen, the commanding officer of Naval Air Warfare Center Training Systems Division and Naval Support Activity Orlando, Captain Tim James.
Thank you, and welcome everybody here on this personally joyous occasion. My role at this point is to introduce my boss, Admiral Doherty. You should all have the program, hopefully, if we got that right. You can look there and see all the details. He has done some amazing things for the Navy, from flying F-18s to program management, whether it be weapons, F-18s, UAVs, etc. And now currently sits as the chief engineer of all of NAVAIR, as well as my boss is the Naval Air Warfare Center Aircraft Division. It's truly been an honor working for you, sir. Thank you so much. I have to admit, I've always been terrified of you, because if you know Doc, and a lot of people do, right, it's a small community, he is always in a good mood. But he's always looked at packs, and those are the ones you gotta watch out for, right? The reality is just not connected, right? You can't always be happy and live in Pax River and work for NAVAIR. So I'm glad that I'm retiring before that inevitable day where he breaks. It could be today. So again, please make sure you look at the bio. If you've noticed by the lack of attention I put into my own in the program, I don't take those, I don't like reading those very much. So please check out the accomplishments he's done. A wonderful American, great servant for our country and our Navy. Admiral, the lectern is yours, sir.
All right, well, thanks for that, and good morning, Team Orlando. All right, so that was pretty good, but look, Rook told me that he wants this to be a good time today, and I'm kind of the warm-up act, so let's try that one more time. Good morning, Team Orlando. Good morning. All right, there we go, very good. Okay, so welcome to the NAWCTSD change of command, where Captain Betts will take command of this great organization. And also welcome to the retirement ceremony for Captain James, where we celebrate his 26 years of dedicated service. But before we do that, where is Lily? Lily, how about a round of applause for that national anthem? Thank you, Lily. Thanks to everyone else that had a hand in putting this event together today in this just fantastic venue. You know, I enjoyed seeing my mug on the Jumbotron at UCF, but this is much cooler. So thanks for having us here. All right, so my job today is to introduce your commanding officer and the star of today's show, Captain James. But before I do that, I do want to recognize some important folks that are in attendance today. Orange County Mayor Jerry Demings is here. Welcome, sir. Retired Admirals Randy Marr and Len Herring are here. I saw Len out in the hall. Welcome to you. All the way from Australia, we have Wing Commander Troy Denley and wife Deborah. Welcome to you all. From the local area, where's John Myers? I know he's here somewhere. It's tough to see out there, but John, welcome to you. And he's our TSD Executive Director, which I'm sure you all know that. And then welcome to Lee James from PEO Stry. And then I saw a couple of our past TSD commanders, but I know you guys are always out there, always supporting this great command, this great community. So it's wonderful to see you here today as well. So to all our DVs and then to all of you, thanks for coming out to honor these leaders today. All right, now to the front row, who are our true VIPs. Thank you for your service and your support for these gentlemen. I know them both pretty well, and I know there is no way that they could do it without you. So thank you all very much. From Team James over here on this side, welcome to wife Lucia. Good to see you again. And the four sons, Jerin, Tobin, Holden, and Owen. So I think you guys are screwed this year because the seats look different. Did you already check? Do you remember 2 years ago? I don't know if Dad has some cool plan today or if I'm ruining it, but it's going to be exciting to see, and FB, no pressure. You were here. Okay, so Lucia's mom is also here, aunt and uncle are here, and then Rook's parents couldn't be here, but they're online, so welcome to you all. All right, Team Vets, man, you guys traveled. It was good to meet many of you this morning. Mara, thank you for your service, and congrats on the big day today. Kids, James, Daniel, and Grace are here. Got to see you guys. What's it like having two parents in the Navy? Thumbs up? Okay, all right, get some head nods. I think it's pretty cool. I think it's really, really cool. So welcome to you guys. All right, we've got Mom Amy, brother Rusty, sister Brianna are here, along with many other aunts, uncles, nephews, great aunts, cousins. Anything else? Do I have it covered here, Team Vets? All right, well, that's about it. All right, so we're good to go. All right, so to both families, again, on behalf of the United States Navy, thank you for your service, and how about a round of applause for everyone? All right, before I hand the mic over to Rook, just a couple words for our incoming commander and the TSD team. FB, congrats, my friend. We've known each other a long time, and I know you're gonna do great in command. I would tell this guy to get after it. Yeah, there's a smile, but you all know him. I don't think I have to tell him that. I think he's gonna have a problem with that. You're the right guy for the job. Good luck to you. If you ever need anything, I'm here for you, buddy. All right, so you've got a world-class team here at TSD and an unmatched ecosystem in Central Florida. In my opinion, our competitive advantage in conflict is our people. Highly trained operators and maintainers at the top of their game. That is what you deliver at TSD, and that is why we confidently go in harm's way. I can't thank you enough for what you do, and I'm so proud to be on your team. So thank you. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, it is now time to hand the mic over to Captain Tim James. Rook has had an incredible Navy career across his fleet and acquisition tours. I could talk about his accomplishments and accolades, but Rook wouldn't like that, as he kind of already alluded to when he was up here. Just take a look at the bio in your program. His LinkedIn page, I think, is what's referenced there. But here's the thing, Rook, he absolutely is not about any of that. You know, what Rook cares about is you. He cares about the people he has led and the people he has served with. I can honestly say that Rook has fought for you and our mission every single day of his career. And he wasn't afraid to mix it up with the Admiral from time to time, which is a quality that I admire. Rook is a fantastic leader. All right, Rook, it's been an absolute honor to serve with you. You've impacted us all, made our warfighters more lethal, and you did it with style. Ladies and gentlemen, Capt. Tim James.
All right, before I come up here and tell all my lies, I have one more job to do, and that's to introduce Mr. Matt Sermon, somebody I'm even more terrified of. Not because he's always happy, because he definitely is not always happy. That's what a career working for NAWCTSD and being a swell will do for you, and living in DC. But it's because I've known Matt in middle school, high school. He was my academy roommate. We're at each other's weddings, etc. You could say we've met. He has more dirt on me than everybody else I know combined. And that's why I'm going to speak second, so I can react to whatever lies he puts out and set the record straight. Because I have the same amount of knowledge on him. But Matt, one of the greatest humans I've ever had the pleasure of knowing and meeting, so I'm really honored you could come down here. I know Nib, and before that, the PEO of subs and DDG 1000 and everything else. It's been incredibly hard to get a 30-minute, he doesn't even eat lunch, right? Gets up like 3 in the morning to drive to DC to work all day, to come home to sleep, to drive to DC to work all day, for all of us. And to be able to take even a single day out of that schedule is pretty impressive. I have to schedule with the EA just to talk to him and send him texts. So I appreciate it, Matt. Thank you so much. It means the world to me that you've come down here. And now it is your turn at the fancy lectern.
Good morning. I'm afraid that Captain James, Tim, set the bar a little too high, and I know he did that on purpose. So I'm going to get him back. Not really, right? If you know him pretty well, you know what a shining example of a human he is, and that there isn't that much dirt. There's a little, and I'm probably not going to talk about it, though we'll see how the next few minutes goes, and when the Oscar music starts playing. Good morning, leaders from across government, industry, and academia. More on that combination in a little while as I talk about what I do in my day job. Greetings, retired flag officers and other leaders and executives. Mr. Myers, it's great to see you. Admiral Doherty, thanks so much for coming, sir. Good morning to our national treasure, the workforce here at NAWCTSD, and all the different instantiations of NAWCTSD names and history, which you'll find in this little talk that I'm a history buff, and I believe that we repeat our history. Hopefully NAWCTSD doesn't repeat its history of like 6 different names. But you never know in government today. I'll leave it at that. And then especially good morning to families, all the families out there who help provide incredible and crucial support and are the inspiration for this national security journey that so much of us are on. I'm not going to go through all the names that the Admiral did too at the beginning. I was supposed to already say that, but thank you for this beautiful venue, beautiful ceremony, beautiful national anthem, which almost made me cry and walk off stage. Really. Back to families. I know Tim's family really well. Lucia, there isn't enough I can say about the role you played in my life and my family's life, and in taking care of my best friend. And thank you for that. Owen, Holden, Tobin, Jerin. I always say those in reverse order of age since I'm a baby of a family. It's great to see you. I wish I saw you more. I really do, and I hope that I'm not trying to curse you with moving to the DC area at all. But I hope we get to see you more for some other reasons. I really do. It was so great to see family and friends last night and do some talking and catching up. I really appreciate that. Bet's family, I don't know you, but you are robust in number. Grateful for your service and grateful for what you're going to continue to undertake. You're already the leaders of this organization and this region and have been performing this incredible mission for a while. And the timing is right. Maura, Grace, Daniel, and James, thank you for being here. Thank you for supporting your parents through their service to our nation. Sincerely appreciate it. I'm thrilled to be here for several reasons. Literally grew up with Tim. He already mentioned sixth grade. Maybe he didn't say the grade, but from Mr. Wade's sixth grade social studies class to the Naval Academy to weddings and children, in good times and bad. You and Lucia have dedicated your life to goodness, and I am incredibly proud of you. The family you have, the service you've given, and truly fair winds and following seas. Though again, I hope I see you more. I know Tim well enough to know that he isn't going to be spending all of his time on the golf course or the beach. He doesn't tan well. I suspect he'll be looking to continue to support national security in some way. I'm not telling him to do that. I suspect those things, right? It happens often with our naval officers, and I know him well enough that he'll be looking for how to do that. And his service, by the way, it's all my doing. His outstanding leadership, the fact that he ended up at NAWCTSD, all my doing. His interest in things like simulation, virtual reality, control of unmanned vehicles, me. And you might ask how I got there. Tim probably already knows. But it was during our sophomore and junior years at the Naval Academy when he was slaving away as a systems engineering major, 20 hours a day or so. And I played 1,100 John Madden football 98 games during those 2 years. And we all know, you guys really do know this here, that the Madden football series in the 90s set the standard for where we are as a nation relative to simulation, virtual reality, and all those things. So you are welcome. I knew it at the time. And also for the Orlando folks, although I hail from the swamps of South Louisiana and met Tim while I was doing a stint in the beautiful piney woods of East Texas, I spent 3 years of high school here in Orlando, or near enough, at Point Siena, and I'm an Eagle for life. And it was there that I was set about on this Navy journey, and I'm grateful for that most days, including today. So it's great to be back in the region, and even for a short time. Tim, 26 years of service to Navy and Nation. You started your service before we were anything but just mildly worried about a guy named Osama bin Laden. Just a potential worry. Served through the wars on terror, deployed as a pilot, came to the acquisition community. I think he thought it would be easier. It was weird. and has been an incredible power in the special operations world, in unmanned, and then in the training arenas a couple of times. This crucial mission of preparing us for the very real global challenge that lies ahead. It does. Thank you, shipmate, brother. Rob Betts, I know you from Navy reputation, from talking with you some yesterday, and from walking around the command that you're the right person at the right time to take the helm. I know you'll continue the real work, the vital work of leading the Navy, Marine Corps, and other flags behind me that are unmentionable in the areas of training, simulation, and modeling excellence. After what I saw yesterday, I'll actually be reaching out to you and your team to talk about how we collaborate on what you do now for the Warfighter and the maintainer, and my mission that we need to do for the industrial base to revitalize our industrial base. Speaking of that very briefly, I promise, revitalizing our industrial capability and capacity in this nation, including rapid adoption of advanced manufacturing and simulation, is our 21st Century Manhattan Project. It's my day job, unfortunately for my family, it's my night job. It's my passion, trying to restore us to where we were and better in the 80s when we built 600 ships and had incredible aircraft manufacturing and repair power, getting us to where we can build the unmanned vehicles that we need to. We can rebuild our infrastructure. We can do it all with advanced 21st century manufacturing. Is vital to this nation. Because of my speed in that, I'm skipping the part of my speech where I run through all that because I am known to get carried away. The punchline is that we have to repeat in a way, in a real way, what our nation did in World War II and what we did again in a different way during the Cold War. It's going to take an all-hands-on-deck effort, the kind of effort that I see is well underway here at NAWCTSD and with Team Orlando. I think an unmatched partnership effort that needs to be replicated at other places. Academia, industry, the government team, all in battery for the mission. Finally, history. I don't do anything without talking a little bit about history. I already done it, but I guess I'll do it again. This organization, its forefather, then commander in 1941, eventually Rear Admiral Luis de Flores. He's the Hyman Rickover. I'm a nuke, I have to say that. He's the Hyman Rickover of this community, of this world. And what an extraordinary vision for what modeling and simulation and virtual training could be in 1941, and gave us a competitive advantage almost immediately during World War II in being able to train pilots and others very quickly. He went on after that career to help the CIA in special ways that weren't on the internet, unfortunately, but I want to learn more about them. Synthetic training devices and how we use them, that was the punchline. That provided us the competitive advantage, particularly in the Cold War. And we must maintain it. Team here, we must maintain it. And oh, by the way, I know we have to have the industrial base to maintain it, and that's where I think our missions run together. Since I mentioned Rickover, the father of the nuclear navy, I have to use my very favorite quote from him, and he has a lot of sporty quotes. But this one I think is one for us all to remember and sort of captures the essence of what I'm trying to say about what we have to do. And that's that trying to make things work in government is sometimes like trying to sew a button on a custard pie. Yet we will. We will. This team will. We have to. De Flores and Rickover built competitive advantage for the Navy and Marine Corps and other services by fundamentally altering the nature of training and delivering sustained advantage that leadership like Tim James and Rob Betts can now capitalize on and expand upon. Thank you for having me here. Thanks to the NAWCTSD team, Team Orlando. I really appreciate it. I'm thrilled to be here. Here to help whoever I can. And I say that also signaling that I'll probably be asking for help. Thank you again for having me here, Tim. Thank you to all of you. I really appreciate the time and looking forward to a great day.
Rear Admiral Doherty will now present Captain James with his award. Guests, please rise. Military personnel, attention to award. The President of the United States takes pleasure in presenting the Legion of Merit to Captain Jerin T. James, United States Navy, for exceptionally meritorious conduct in the performance of outstanding service as the Commanding Officer, Naval Air Warfare Center Training Systems Division and Naval Support Activity Orlando from June 2023 to May 2025. Captain James led 1,300 civilians and military personnel and managed a $1.6 billion base. His leadership consistently affirmed the Navy's focus on building the future force, maintaining our warfighting readiness, and developing and supporting our people. He forged new and inspired methods for the design, development, acquisition, and testing of training solutions for the Navy and the Department of Defense. He selflessly gave the best of his training experience and leadership to the military and civilian personnel assigned to his commands. Captain James's superior performance and highlights the culmination of 30 years of honorable and dedicated service. By his dynamic direction, keen judgment, and loyal devotion to duty, Captain James reflected great credit upon himself and were in keeping with the highest traditions of the United States Naval Service. For the President, Carl Chevy, Vice Admiral, United States Navy, Commander, Naval Air Systems Command. Guests and military personnel, please be seated. Captain James received letters from the past two commanders-in-chief under whom he served, President Trump and President Biden, as well as Governor DeSantis of Florida. Rear Admiral Doherty will now present Captain James with his Certificate of Retirement. Certificate of Retirement from the Armed Forces of the United States of America. This is to certify that Captain Jerin T. James was honorably discharged from the United States Navy on the first day of August 2025. This certificate is awarded as a testimonial of honest and faithful service. Signed, J.E. Doherty IV, Rear Admiral, United States Navy, Commander, Naval Air Warfare Center Aircraft Division. Rear Admiral Doherty will now present certificates of appreciation to Captain James's wife, Lucia, and sons, Jerin, Tobin, Holden, and Owen. Mr. Jerin James will now read Creating the Navy Wife.
When the good Lord was creating Navy wives, he was into his 6th day of overtime. An angel appeared and said, "Are you having a lot of trouble with this one? What's wrong with the standard model?" The Lord replied, "Have you seen the specifications on this order? She has to be completely independent, must be sponsored to get on the base, and have the quality of both mother and father during deployment. Be a perfect hostess to 4 or 40, run on black coffee, handle emergencies without a Buper's manual, be able to handle the flu, birthdays, and move around the world if need be on a moment's notice. Have a kiss that can heal anything from a child's torn Valentine to her husband's weary day. Have the patience of a saint when waiting for the ship to come in, and have 6 pairs of hands." The angel shook her head slowly and said, "6 pairs of hands? No way." Said the Lord, answering, "Don't worry, we'll create other Navy wives to help. Besides, it's not the hands that are causing the problem, it's the heart. The heart must swell with pride in her husband, sustain the ache of separations, beat on soundly and strongly when it's too tired to do so, and be large enough to say, 'I understand,' even when she really doesn't, and say, 'I love you,' regardless." "Lord," the angel said, touching his sleeve gently, "go to bed. You can finish this tomorrow." "I can't," said the Lord. "I'm so close to creating something unique. Already, I have one that heals herself when she is sick, can feed 3 unexpected guests who were stuck in the area due to bad weather, and can wave goodbye to her husband from a pier or runway and fully understand that it is important to our country that he leaves." The angel circled the model of the Navy wife very slowly. "It is too soft," she sighed. "But tough," the Lord said excitedly. "You cannot imagine what this woman can do or endure." "Can she think?" asked the angel. "Can she think? Why, she can convert 1400 to 2 p.m. Finally, the angel bent over and gently ran her fingers across the model's cheek. "There's a leak," she pronounced. "I told you that you were trying to put too much into this model." "It's not a leak," said the Lord. "It's a tear." "What for?" asked the angel. "It's for joy, sadness, pain, disappointment, loneliness, and pride." "You're a genius," exclaimed the angel. The Lord looked somberly at the angel and replied, "I didn't put it there."
We will now observe a time-honored tradition, the passing of the flag. The passing of the flag at a sailor's retirement is symbolic of his or her ascension through the ranks over the course of their career. The flag being used in Captain James's ceremony was flown over the United States Naval Academy in Annapolis, Maryland, and over the Naval Support Activity Orlando. Ladies and gentlemen in the audience, please remain seated. Naval Forces Orlando and members of the official party, please don covers and come to attention.
Forces Orlando, fall in.
Flag detail, post.
am the flag of the United States of America, and my name is Old Glory. I fly atop the world's tallest buildings. I stand watch in America's halls of justice. I fly majestically over great institutions of learning. I stand guard with the greatest military power in the world. Look up and see me. I stand for peace, truth, honor, and justice. I stand for freedom. I am confident. Today, I honor a military hero, the living legend, Captain Tim James, and I am proud. When I am flown with my fellow banners, my head is a little higher, my colors a little truer. I bow to no one. I am recognized all over the world. I am worshipped, saluted, respected, revered. I am loved, and I am feared. I have fought in every battle of every war for more than 200 years. Gettysburg, Shiloh, Appomattox, San Juan Hill, the trenches of France, the Argonne Forest, Anzio, Rome, the beaches of Normandy, the jungles of Guam, Okinawa, Tarawa, Korea, Vietnam, the Persian Gulf, Afghanistan, and a score of other places, long forgotten by all, except by those who were there with me. I was there. I led my soldiers, sailors, airmen, and Marines. I followed them. I watched over them. They loved me. I was on a small hill in Iwo Jima. I was battle-worn and tired, but my troops cheered for the old red, white, and blue. I was proud. I was at Ground Zero in New York City on September 11th as cowardly fanatics attacked America. I was raised from the ashes of once proud buildings by brave firefighters, heroes who risked their lives to save others, showing all that America, although bloody, will never be beaten. Those who would destroy me cannot win, for I am the symbol of freedom, of one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I have been soiled, burned, torn, and trampled on the streets of my own country. And when it is done by those whom I have served within battle, it hurts. But I shall overcome, for I am strong. I have slipped to shoulder bonds of earth, and from my vantage point on the moon, I stand watch over the uncharted new frontiers of space. I have been a silent witness of all of America's finest hours. But my finest hour comes when I am torn into strips and used as bandages for my wounded comrades on the field of battle. When I fly half-mast to honor my soldiers, my sailors, my airmen, my Marines, and my first responders. And when I lie in the trembling arms of a grieving mother at the grave site of her fallen son or daughter, I am proud. My name is Old Glory. Long may I wait, and dear God, my God, long may I wait.
Flag detail, post.
Forward, march.
Ladies and gentlemen, our commanding officer, Captain Tim James.
Well, now that Matt has spoken, I know we're going with Plan B. We're not going to do the mutual assured destruction. Instead, we'll go with something a little different and higher risk. As you can see, I don't have a written speech, and that goes horribly so often. I'd like to start off by echoing the folks in front of me, all the people that deserve recognition, and thank you for this. This is an incredibly difficult event to pull off. If you look in the front and back covers of your program, you'll see all the names listed that did countless hours of work. Although we left off probably the biggest time sink into this, the ringleader of the craziness, Maura. Thank you so much for everything you did. I know it's hard to pull double duty to be part of the family and actually responsible for the event, so thank you. As called out in the program, I have had to do this before, and it is one of the worst experiences of my military career. So hopefully you all have a program. This is what I want to talk about. Try and bring some kind of focus into the last 30 years, as I was unable to sit down and write anything out without becoming overwhelmed with all the experiences and great people that I've served with. So I want to start off with the back cover, one of the most important pages, and I'll tell you why. First of all, this interrogation light I can't see. Is Colonel Monahan out there? Oh, yeah, this is for you, and I'll tell you why. So flashback to May 26th of 1999 at the Naval Academy graduation in the stadium in Annapolis. You know, all 1,000 or so men that are graduating, their families of thousands in the stands, and they all had programs. And the full 8.5 by 11, like giant newspaper-sized programs. So because they were so unwieldy, people had to turn them around here and had a back cover. And if you looked up into the crowd, you saw a sea of the cover of the program. And what that was a picture of was me at ring dance. Full page color photo of the end of junior year when you get your ring, and it's a very special event for us. But a lot had happened in that year or so. And the girl in the picture with me was not my girlfriend at the graduation. And guys, if you've ever had that moment where you've woken up and your wife is mad at you already in bed because you did something in your dream, something you weren't responsible for, but you paid dearly for, you know how the rest of my day ended up. So I wanted to make sure the first thing I asked for was that I could make sure it was in the back cover of this program. So as it's being held up in the air, if Lucia were to look around, she was going to see something crazy. Because that day didn't go well for me. And it was my graduation, damn it. That should have been a happy day. All right, so flip over in my bio section, that first picture with the 4 midshipmen in whites. That's me on the far left, and that's Matt here on the far right. This is one of the last photos we took at the academy about 2 days before graduation. You can tell, because I'm not bleeding or bruised, and I'm still happy. This was before graduation. Back in the good old days when my age and my waist both started with a 2, which is not true on either account anymore. Back when I was young and strong, I bet I could have fallen out of that window at the 5th floor, bounced off the ground, dusted it off, walked it out, and now I can't guarantee that I can make it through the night without hurting myself sleeping. So I miss those days when we were so sure of ourselves. Brand new on the Navy, really excited. The 3 on the left there, we were all engineers. As Matt mentioned, he was not. He was an economics major. And if you'd have polled this group of mids, who was going to go the farthest in the Navy in this picture? 100%, it's that tallest guy right there, Toby. He was the hands-down favorite to be the first flag, definitely in our class, or in our company, probably our whole class. He was exactly what the Navy told us we should be. And we all looked up to him. He was the first one out of the Navy. He was too smart. He was too smart. If you were to poll that same group of people, who was going to be the first out of the Navy, definitely 3 of us, maybe 4 of us would have said Matt. Sorry. Because what we were taught growing up, right, what being in the Navy was like, who can suffer the most, right? We were engineers. We were up at 2 in the morning every day. We were getting crushed, transforming our foyers or whatever, combing our filters. I don't even remember what we were doing. And Matt was like the stereotypical picture of a sultan, like being fanned with a palm frond, and fed grapes by his girlfriend or whatever. He had every afternoon off. We were like, look at this clown. Because we didn't have the benefit of the experience of what life really was like. So fast forward, Matt was the first SES in our class, beat the first admiral by, I don't know, 5 years or something. The most successful person, just flipped everything on its head. Mark and I on the left, we were always doomed to be in the middle of the Navy, right? 05 plus or minus 1, depending on which bad decision got noticed or not. So that worked out just fine. That played out. But that's a great example of why we don't let junior officers run stuff or make decisions. We have a lot of great theoretical knowledge, not a lot of applied knowledge. That's a problem that I bring back with me here to TSD as I stare deeply into the eyes of my chief engineer, who understands the frustrations sometimes that we have when we have a new employee, brand new PhD, whatever, they want to come and do it the right way. And then the fleet gives us roughly 25% of the funding and half the time to do it the right way. And then we struggle with the right way versus the way it just has to be done. So that's a lesson that was hard learned. We continue to work on here, but that's why we have the Chief's Mess, to keep us JOs and us starry-eyed PhDs out of trouble and make sure that we're facing reality. So I appreciate everything y'all have done for me over the years, both here at TSD, but definitely before that, as we'll talk about later. I could have gotten so much worse trouble without some strong chiefs looking out for me. On the next page, the folks in front of that airplane, 705. This page right here is actually kind of a list of training failures that I went through that have really made working at TSD not once but twice so important to me. That picture was taken on the 1-year anniversary of the original plane, 705 crashing in the ocean near Vieques. Pilot was a flight school friend of mine. We had gone through Kingsville and San Diego together, and he was detached to the same squadron as me about a month ahead of me. We'll never know what happened. There was no mayday call, no witnesses. Plane just disappeared. Digging through the radar tapes, most likely what happened is the crew just got distracted. They weren't paying attention. They kind of entered what we call the death spiral, where they're just slowly flying in a descending circle and just hit the water. Usually happens when you stop paying attention to instruments, get distracted on something else. You don't have the crew resource management down. You don't have people backing each other up. The day one, the fundamentals of aviation that we train. So, funny story now, looking back on that, is I was supposed to go out and meet the squadron. I was going to fly out and do workups with them, but instead they called and told me, we need you to go to Pennsylvania instead, towards State College, and represent the Navy at the pilot's funeral. So my first job in the Navy was to hand that flag to his mother and tell her how sorry we were that we let them down. His call sign was Pup because his dad was a SEAL, and SEAL's kids are called pups. I didn't know he was a famous SEAL until I got to that funeral. But at the wake, you knew something was up. There's multiple Medal of Honor winners, large mountains that call themselves humans walking around, very impressive scene. And one of them came up to me, parted the crowd, came up, I'm in my shiny SDBs, representing the Navy. I just had my mates blow out, my shoes were a mess. And he put his finger in my chest and he drove me up against the wall. I don't remember the exact words he was saying because he was a very large and imposing character, so he had my full attention. Because I thought I was going to get a fight in a funeral, my first Navy function, and I didn't think that was going to go over well. And he said something to the effect of, the Navy really failed here. How are they going to send you to represent? This family's done so much for the country, yada yada. And I was like, yeah, I totally agree with you. Please don't kill me. And then he ran away, and the father of the pilot came up and he said, don't mind him, he's just upset. He's emotional, he gets that way. Sure has lost a lot of size over the years though. And I said, what? This guy's a mountain. He's like, you don't know who that is, do you? It's like, no, I don't. That's Dick Marcinko, the guy that wrote all those Rogue Warrior books and was a plank owner of SEAL Team 6. So I almost got murdered by the plank owner of SEAL Team 6 in my first Navy assignment, going to represent. But the importance of training and fundamentals and imparting that onto our young sailors and officers has never left me from the very first assignment I had there. So unfortunately, fast forward a couple years later, we already knew the S3 was going away when I got there, and sure enough, I had to take an assignment that wasn't flying again after that. So that middle picture is me as the officer in charge of an anti-terrorism unit based out of Guam. With all of that excellent pilot training I had for the last couple of years on how to do, hunt submarines and air-to-air fueling and all that, they put me in charge of 110 heavily armed, mainly first class and below, a few chiefs, 2 other officers, and we were hard deployed all over the 5th, 6th, 7th Fleet, so like the other half of the world. I got a whopping 2 weeks of training to go take that job, got to go through SRF, got pepper sprayed, got taught how to take apart and put together all the weapons that I now was responsible for, including automatic grenade launchers. Like, who does that? Who gives that to a lieutenant straight out of an S3 squadron? So the training failures in that tour were countless. I'm probably going to write a book about it. It's so many. I'll just mention one in particular that was directly tied to training, is that before we were going to go out to this classified mission in the Philippines, we had to swap out our weapons. So we had M60s, was one of our primary area defense weapons, and we had to switch to the 240. Both machine guns. If you've never touched one, you wouldn't be able to tell the difference between them. They're very similar, except in how you load and unload them. There's something very different when you do that. So we had to rush through the training, get all that done, and because I had people deployed all the time, somebody wasn't there. I was like, okay, fine, catch him up, give him one-on-one training, etc. But something fell through the cracks, and instead of him getting the training, he got the training gun decked. He's like, yeah, I'm smart, I know machine guns, I'll be cool. And nobody followed up on that. And then we were in the Philippines. Sure enough, on one of the guard switches, he screwed up his upload download procedures and sent a round right into the Philippine island of Zamboanga. On the plus side, it was largely full of terrorists, Abu Sayyaf. So if we did hit anybody, it was probably a bad guy. But that argument wasn't well received by my boss as we were doing the accident investigation, trying to see if we'd caused an international incident or not. My first international incident. I've had a couple in my career. So another training failure. Again, and it was basic, right? It's not high-end tactics. It was just day one blocking and tackling that we always seem to find a way to talk ourselves out of as we go forward. We always seem to be on the receiving end of a budget cut or something, and that's groups like TSD's job is to inform our customers of the risks they're taking in a knowledgeable way. Sometimes it has to be done, but we can't walk into those incidents unknown. We need to take informed risks going forward. Which is very similar to that bottom photo. Perhaps the coolest, well, definitely my coolest collateral duty, maybe in all of the Navy, was a demonstration skydiver for Special Operations Command. So on weekends and occasionally during the work week, I got to go jump into sporting events and parades and beach week and whatever, and that was my job. I got paid for that. It wasn't my wife's favorite collateral duty. another reason I was always gone. It was worse than a deployment. It was unpredictable. But I got to go to a lot of cool events for free. That picture right there is at Raymond James Stadium in Tampa, just outside of it, in the field. That was the location of the Paracommando's last, well, most recent, whatever, fatal skydive. Because again, we had a SEAL on the team that lied about his experience and his training, and we got put in a little bit of an extreme situation at the stadium. He did something that everybody should know not to do, got himself into a downplane and hit the ground. Under canopy, but horizontal. And he hit so hard he kind of bounced. He got up as if to say, I'm okay, and then he fell over dead with a ruptured aorta. Something that was amazingly avoidable. It's day one training, but again, we found a way to justify, he found a way to justify getting around it, signing off on it. But this page is what personally impacts me and tells me the importance of the TSD mission. And why I was so honored to be here, not once but twice. And that's what all of you need to be helping me look out for in the future. Making those informed decisions, because what we do here really, really matters. And what those warfighters can't do what they have to do if we don't do what we have to do first. It's my favorite quote from Admiral Craven over at SOCOM. He used to tell us that every day when he'd come talk to the acquisition cell. So we're the beginning of every kill chain, every training thing, right? You got to acquire and train, and we're both of those. So over to the next page at the top. That's the team that's going to keep that from happening ever again. That was our latest command photo at NAWCTSD. We tricked them all into it by setting off the fire alarm and mustering up front. So it's most of the command. I'm sure there were a couple people hiding in the bathroom because our fire alarm is notoriously bad, and they all knew it was probably fake, and the building's cement anyway. We hear all the excuses. It's really important conference call. But that is an outstanding team of professionals right there. Truly honored to have been a part of it. Looking forward to supporting on the other side of the fence going forward and seeing what amazing things you can do. Speaking of which, that photo right below it with the helicopter in the parking lot. At this point in the speech, I am super happy that my other boss, the regional commander, got called away on business. He was supposed to be here too, Admiral Hewitt. He's the one I probably should have coordinated with to fly that helicopter onto the base. But if you were back up a few months before that, when the administration had a couple of new executive orders coming out, we were kind of taking a knee. Nobody could spend money or travel or do anything for a little bit. That hit right on our planning cycle for Bring Your Kids to Work Day. All of our contracts were turned off, all our credit cards were turned off. Just kind of got a better luck next time, tough, sorry, not mission critical. I think what Admiral Chevy would say happened after that is that we took on an abundance vice a scarcity mindset. But I think in reality, we just got really spiteful and we're out for revenge and vengeance. That's probably not as politically correct a key value of NAVAIR, but it was very effective. So we challenged the team to do things differently, right? To literally do more with less. The team ended up spending less than half of the normal amount of money, broke the attendance record by 150%, over 1,200 participants there, and we got events that we would never have considered doing before, like a helicopter flying into a command that doesn't have a helipad, but has a parking lot with lots of mulch that can fly out and hit you in the face. Scratch up your car or whatever, but whatever, it got done. We were very safe about this, but we were very deliberate to put in just the minimalist amount of looking to see if we were violating any laws or regulations. Didn't see anything, check, move on. And another one of our Academy company mates was the Commodore of the training ring. So we did the kind of the bro network thing, like, hey, can we do this? Yeah, we can do this. All right. Are you gonna tell anybody? No, I'm not gonna tell anybody. All right. And we were very safe again. We paid attention to the right risk, right? Not the checklist risk, the bureaucracy risk, the PR risk, whatever. We did the safety risk, right? We walked the parking lots and roped things off and did multiple run-throughs, et cetera. We put our calories where they mattered, to the mission and not to the bureaucracy. We also had military working dogs show up from Patrick Space Force Base and do the whole, get dressed in a suit and they attack you kind of thing, which was unknown to me to the last minute. Kudos to the team of thinking outside the box, but terrifying to watch as there were a bunch of like 6-year-olds running around, these rabid dogs attacking people. But I tell you, they are very well trained and they only attacked who they were supposed to attack, which is why I have a band at the change of command, and this wasn't done in the middle of the night. But that's the way we're gonna have to go forward, right? For TSD, we talk about being more risk tolerant, thinking outside the box, the abundance mindset. We've talked about all of those, and now we're trying to show examples. Another simpler version of that, if you'll take a look at the picture in Captain Bet's bio section, the next page, where we are clearly touching the thing that says do not touch. For 2 tours, I've been at TSD and seen that sign become more and more vigorously defended. Like you couldn't even get close to it. Don't breathe on a link trainer, stop. But we missed the spirit of why that was there, right? It's a delicate trainer. Crazy story if you haven't seen it, don't have time for it. Google it. It's made out of like organ parts, like the church organs, things like that. Amazing feat from the Rickover of training. So really, we didn't want people to break it. It wasn't about touching it, but we ended up creating a bigger and bigger force field around that thing throughout the years. So when Flash came and told me it was time for us to take our traditional command photo, which is normally the 2 skippers touching the F-18 and kind of a you got it, I got it situation. I said, no, I don't want to do that. I hate F-18s, they suck. I was an S3 guy. Hey, where's the S3 to take a picture of? We didn't have one, so I said, all right, fine. We'll do it with the link trainer. And the gasps and the shock of the moment still reverberate. To the point where Mr. Myers is now giving that link trainer away. It's now in a museum up in the Guggenheim at New York, which I never got to visit because of the travel restrictions, but now I got plenty of time. I'm gonna go see the TSD Museum in New York. But that's another example of what we're gonna have to do going forward, right? Why is the restriction, the constraint, the whatever in place so that you react in the appropriate way? And I know that Captain Betts is the right person to help us get down that road. He is not afraid to hurt people's feelings, to bend the rule where it needs to be bent, to erase the rule where it needs to be erased. I do feel bad for Admiral Doherty, because Captain Betts is a tough customer. As his previous boss, I know. So good luck, Doc. Good luck. If you need to call and vent or a shoulder to cry on, I'll be there for you. And then now back to the last photo, the most important for me, so bear with me, it's almost over. My family. The reason that I've done what I've done for so long, despite all of the failures that should have had me either murdered or killed or died in a training accident along the last 30 years, made it through with God's blessings and with their help. In the immortal words of the modern day thought leaders and philosophers, Kane Brown and Marshmallow, I got a million things wrong, but I got one thing right. And that was tricking Lucia into marrying me. It was back when I was a pilot, I was cool, like here in my helmet, and before I told her I was going to transition into acquisition. A lot has changed in those years. But you see that beautiful family that she basically raised alone because I've been married to work and looking forward to balancing that back out as we go forward. So real fast, for the ushers, please, if you will, hand the flowers to my wife and my wife's mother, who didn't screw her up too bad for me, so I appreciate that. Thank you. And then the boys don't like flowers, so we did something a little different. Not taped under the chair this time because I knew you were looking. But there are pictures of the Alaska cruise we're going to go on in a couple weeks. All the soda and ice cream you can eat, go-kart track on top of the ship, ATV outings, etc. We don't expect to see you all 9 days. This is Mom and my vacation. She just made me bring you. So I'm literally enjoying this leaning into being the retired guy telling the sea story thing instead of the metrics and whatnot as the CO. I think I can do this. If you all grant me the same courtesy you grant Mike Merritt every time he tells you the exact same sea story. I tell you, I feel like I have worked in the C-17, B-22, and ICBM program offices. I'm sure I'll repeat some of these along the way, probably even today. So thank you for indulging an old retiring sailor here. With these interrogation lights on, I can't see, but I have been remiss in one more thanks. Is by chance Kathy Ramsberger here? No, she's the CEO of this venue, of Dr. Phillips Center. Amazing woman, amazing organization that's starting to get closer in with the Navy. And something our command has remembered and forgotten over the years, her father is actually in this program. Her father was a TSD CO from 78 to 80, Captain Westbrook. So if you ever are back over here, the Dr. Phillips Center and TSD have a great relationship throughout the years and look forward to see that continue. So thank you, Kathy. If you're watching from one of these numerous rooms with streaming or going to watch this later, really appreciate all you've done for us in making this happen. And with that, I'm going to read my orders. Buper's orders. That's his orders. All right, there we go. I'm not doing this again. Yeah, I'm not taking wrong orders. Yeah, so I got tricked. Buper's orders 1999. Official retirement orders for Captain Jerin T. James, United States Navy. When directed by reporting senior, about 5 minutes, detach from Naval Air Warfare Center Training Systems Division and proceed to homeless selection, Orlando. Regard relief of all active duty effective at 2,400 hours on date of detachment. Signed, Michael Bays, Rear Admiral, United States Navy, Commander, Naval Personnel Command.
I will now read my orders. Buper's Order 0899, official orders for Captain Robert L. Betts, United States Navy, when directed by reporting senior. Report as commanding officer, Naval Air Warfare Center Training Systems Division. Signed, Michael W. Bays, Rear Admiral, United States Navy, Commander, Navy Personnel Command.
It is now my pleasure to introduce the Commanding Officer of Naval Air Warfare Center Training Systems Division and Naval Support Activity Orlando, Captain Rob Betts.
It is really hard to see anything. Yeah. Mr. Sherman, Admiral Doherty, Admiral Marr, Admiral Herring, and Mayor Demings, family, friends, NAWCTSD and NSA Orlando family. I cannot tell you how humbling this is and blinding. I've been reminded by several people that the next few words out of my mouth should just be a string of thank yous and that I need to be short. I am capable of doing one of those. So I'd like to start by thanking Admiral Doherty and the NAVAIR chain of command for this opportunity. Sir, there's no need to worry. I promise not to behave the exact same way as I have for the last 25 years. That will all stop right now. I'd like to thank Ms. Stevenson, Navy Band Southeast, Naval Reserve Center Orlando Color Guard, Uncle Terry, Jerin, and Master Chief Ellis for making this ceremony so meaningful. You guys all crushed it out here. Thank you very much. Thank you to the team here at the Dr. Phillips Center. This is easily the nicest facility I've ever been in for any Navy function, ever. And we look forward to coming back here for the Navy Ball this fall. If you haven't bought your tickets, they should go online sometime this summer. Look forward to seeing most of you there. Although I do have to admit, the acoustic quality in here made me nervous, too nervous to cough, sneeze, or as I am wont to do, whisper anything inappropriate to Rook as we're sitting next to each other at any function. Thank you also to BM1, the side boys, ushers, and the flag detail. Hey, so we are in the home stretch. You guys have almost made it through the whole thing without getting anything on your whites, but don't even think about finishing your cups of coffee right now. Rook, thank you for always listening to my rants and crazy ideas. You never said, yeah, that's dumb, we don't want to do that, even though I know that for a fact you wanted to. You always said, hey, what about this? Or have you thought about this? Or, hey, I think Maribel's calling me, I gotta go. And so, but the one thing that you never told me was, I'm too busy. And I never saw you tell anyone else that either. You are the definition of a servant leader. You went out of your way to make time for your people. You took risks for them. And you made sure that everyone who came to you felt heard and valued. In short, you taught me how to be a better leader. And you taught me the value of a well-placed, quiet word over a very loud, sarcastic comment. Moore and I cannot thank you and Lucia enough for what you have done for the command and everything that you have done for us personally. We wish the two of you and the boys all the best in your next chapter, and we look forward to seeing you both at the Pulse Socials, Navy Ball, Bar Louie from time to time. Congratulations on a successful command tour, and congratulations on an amazing career. Ladies and gentlemen, would you please join me in another round of applause for Captain James. Jed and Tamara, on behalf of the command, welcome to the NSA Orlando and NAWCTSD family. You guys have hit the NAVAIR lottery coming down here. Feel free to throw out the snow shovel, and you can keep all the heavy jackets in reserve for when you go up to WVU. Moore and I are thrilled to have you down here, and we look forward to working with you over the next 2 years. To our friends and family in attendance, Moore and I are incredibly honored by your presence here today. We know that time is your only non-renewable resource, and so we consider ourselves blessed that you would spend some of it with us. Every one of you has had an impact, mostly good and positive, on our lives and careers and helped us get where we are. We couldn't have gotten here without you, and we thank you for your support, your patience, and your encouragement along the way. Noodle, Shadow, and Stag. Doesn't this remind you of the stadium seating that we had in the compound? Yeah, I can see y'all, yeah. Mom, Bree, Rusty, and all of our family here, and there's a lot of us, and those who couldn't be with us. This is definitely a long way from West Feliciana. James, Daniel, and Gracie, I'm glad you're not stuck in the chair anymore, Grace. The three of you continue to amaze me. Based on your attitudes and your stubbornness, you are definitely my children. Thankfully, though, you got your mom's kindness, intelligence, and looks. Remember to stick together and look out for each other, because as long as it's us against the universe, we win. I see you guys nodding. Good, you got it. I'm so proud of each of you, and I love you very much. Maura, now for the part that you didn't proofread. As always, none of this is possible without you. You continue to push me to be better while keeping our lives organized and the kids educated, healthy, fed, and somewhat clean. all while working around my absentee parenting style. You're the reason I'm standing here today, and I'm excited to see what the next 2 years bring us. Thank you for your support, thank you for your patience, and thank you for translating all of my monosyllabic ramblings into something coherent and appropriate for the public. I love you. To the men and women of NAWCTSD and NSA Orlando, it is a privilege to continue being a part of your organization, and I'm excited about the opportunities that we have in front of us. You and our mission will be my focus, because make no mistake, as Rook said, the nation is going to ask us to keep doing what we've been doing, except faster and with fewer resources. We need to stop focusing on process and start focusing only on the product at the end, on the outcomes. Our mission is to deliver high-quality training products as quickly as possible, and our people, you and the crowd, are how we accomplish that mission. People and mission. I know that when we take care of those, everything else will fall into place. Tensions are high around the globe. There are conflicts in at least a half dozen places as we speak. We owe it to our men and women in uniform to ensure they are as well trained as possible when they go into harm's way. The training systems we provide serve two purposes. The first is deterrence. They ensure our men and women are well trained as a means of dissuading our enemies from conflict. And the second is dominance. If our men and women are ever required to fight, that they will win decisively. I look forward to delivering on that mission with you and the continuing the success of NAWCTSD. Thank you again for this opportunity. If you don't have plans this afternoon, you're cordially invited to our post-change of command reception at Frogger's Grill and Bar in Oviedo. We'll be there between 1 and 3. Food and most of the drinks are on me. We'd love it if you could stop by. And then finally, as it is, as it was, and as it ever shall be, where's Billy Stafford? To hell with Georgia.
One thing I promised you, this would not go as planned. I have made a great mistake. I got scope locked in my emotion on my family, and I forgot to give my work wife her flowers. Now my work ex-wife, she's yours now, Fatty. Maribel, thank you for keeping everything running. If it wasn't on schedule, it didn't happen. I wouldn't have been here today if it wasn't on my Alva calendar that she prints out for me every day. So thank you so much for everything you've done. Good luck in the next couple of years. Again, shoulder to cry on a same cell phone number, just give me a call. Right?
Captain Jed Magda, Executive Officer, Naval Air Warfare Center Training Systems Division and Naval Support Activity Orlando, will now read the watch.
For 30 years, this sailor has stood the watch. While some of us were in our bunks at night, this sailor stood the watch. While some of us were in school learning our trade, this shipmate stood the watch. Yes, even before some of us were born into this world, this shipmate stood the watch. In those years when the storm clouds of war were seen brewing on the horizon of history, this shipmate stood the watch. Many times he would cast an eye ashore and see his family standing there, needing his guidance and help, needing that hand to hold during those hard times. But he still stood the watch. He stood the watch for 30 years. He stood the watch so that we, our families, and our fellow countrymen could sleep soundly in safety, each and every night, knowing that a sailor stood the watch. Today we are here to say, shipmate, the the watch stands relieved. Relieved by those you have trained, guided, and led. Shipmate, you stand relieved. We have the watch.
Will the guests please rise and remain standing for the remainder of the ceremony? Deacon Bellum will now deliver the benediction.
Let us pray. Loving God, as we conclude this ceremony, we thank you for your presence among us and for the spirit of service that fills this place. We entrust to your care Captain Tim James, his wife Lucia, and their family as they enter a new chapter of life. May they know peace, fulfillment, and your abiding love. We ask your continued blessing upon Captain Rob Betts and all who serve under his command. Grant them courage, unity, and protection as they carry out their vital mission. Watch over all who serve our country and grant them safety and strength. May we depart from this gathering renewed in our commitment to serve with honor and to seek justice and peace in our world. And may Almighty God bless you in the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen.
Thank you, Deacon Bellum. Military guests, please cover. Bosun, post the side boys.
Young Forces Orlando.
Ladies and gentlemen, friends, family, and shipmates, the time has come for a sailor to retire. This ceremony you will witness next, piping over the side, lasts for only a few moments, but do not mistake this event's significance. Though it is a simple act and brief, the ceremony is bound in centuries of tradition. This order has been passed on naval ships from the 1500s through today: Spanish, French, English, and Dutch. Yes, every navy in the world has used the bosun's call and side boys to bring aboard or send ashore its officers and all visiting dignitaries. The side boys would haul in ropes and raise or lower the boarding platform so officers did not have to climb the rat lines when going ashore or aboard. This honor was extended to visiting officers, dignitaries, and port officials. It was not uncommon for the commanding officer of a ship to order up the jolly boat, a crew of 6 strong backs, side boys, and a bosun to send an old shipmate to his shore retirement, never to sail on Navy ships again. All hands on deck was passed and speeches were made about great victories, battles fought upon the open sea, raging storms weathered, and voyages to distant and strange lands with ports of call others could only dream of. Captain James will now request permission to go ashore. Captain, United States Navy, retired, departing. In another Navy tradition, Captain James will have his family piped ashore with him as they begin the next chapter of their lives together. Navy family, retired, departing. Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes today's ceremonies. After the captains take a few quick pictures, they will be in the lobby for a receiving line. And most importantly, go Navy, beat Army.